Thank you, my dear childhood friend. How is nice to present one as a childhood friend. Humans cannot select your family, but you can select your friends. But when you are a child, you just find everyone as your friend. So he is tolerating me for years. Dear friends, welcome. I'm trying to speak longer because I want to allocate some time for Kemal, who will be late for this event. It's obvious that we should discuss similar topics after 9 p.m. with a drink and a cigarette. Once everyone had his or her dinner, in this way everyone will be listening us. Dear Kazım, dear friends, very big topic. How will we filling in it? Generally, I am copying and pasting my speech text to slides, and I'm living myself in being in interaction with the audience. I'm just following the looks of people. When we think, actually, the act of thinking is like this. I don't know, Kazım, how are you thinking? But in my case, I am gathering many ideas during conversations in an interaction. If I think something after an interaction, I can have some new ideas. Because, reading or thinking like this, I don't think thinkers are thinking like this. They are not thinking like the statue of Rodin, taking their hats in your palms. Thinking is something like this, by looking one another, by speaking with one another. We will be speaking about big concepts, and I will be trying to fill them in with what I have written here. A bad slider. We have been working on these slides since the morning because when I transferred this slide from computer to flash disk, all the words and letters became a mess. This is the final situation which we could do. On the slide, we have the motto, to know and to understand are closely associated, but they are not same. Dear friends, we tend to think both to be same, to know and to understand. We identify them with one another, but actually, to know and to understand are not the same human activities. Knowing is different than understanding. Of course, they are closely associated, they are interrelated. It's impossible to understand without knowing. But their having close relationship does not mean that they are same. At the foundation of my criticism towards psychiatry is this perspective. We consider knowing and understanding same, but philosophically speaking, they are not same. And if you think on them, we can easily understand that they are not same. And Kemal is already here. Did I say that I cannot think when Kemal is not here? Yeah, you can infer this. Dear friends, humans, different from other beings, other high-level beings. To discuss this topic is an issue of centuries. Since ancient Greece, we have been discussing this distinguishing feature of human beings. Everyone tries to find out this distinguishing feature. For example, Aristotle calls human zoon politikon, the political animal. Marx calls humans an animal making means of production, and they think to have found the basic feature of humans. But Ernst Cassirer, a German thinker which I follow, thinks humans to be animal symbolicum, the beings actually animal producing meanings. But to call humans animals has the opposite feature because we are finding new concepts while trying to find difference of humans from other animals. Actually, from our perspective, humans are seen as a high-level mammal. These distinguishing features are not subject topic of modern psychology and psychiatry. Humans being significance producers is an ontological feature of humans. What does it mean? We are not just saying ontological feature for the sake of saying it. It is related to our existence. Why humans have hair or 5 fingers? We don't ask this. So humans being meaning producers should be accepted as an ontological feature. It's just as we have 5 fingers or hair on our head. Yeah, it can drop when you, it can go away when you become older, but still, it's an ontological feature. Humans being meaning producers is closely related to its knowing language. It's a big discussion. Do animals speak? Do they have communication system? Yeah, studies clearly show that there is something which is called animal language. But the basic difference between animal language and human language is that their language does not involve meaning. Humans' linguisticality includes meaning, and having a language with meaning is closely related by denominating things, by giving names to things. We give names to beings, to things. And these names and number of words we produce allows us to think. The wider vocabulary we have, the more we denominate things, our thinking capacity is limited to this. If we don't know some colors, it doesn't make a lot of sense for her or him. It means that it is blind. Thanks to our aspect of meaning production, we can produce societies, we can create cultures, and we can communicate. Our being human producers not only distinguishes us from animals, but also not all, allows us to establish cultures, but also it has a medical aspect. For example, placebo effect. It took a great deal of time for me. Why there is something called placebo effect? Why someone who believes that he will be better to a certain extent. And I came to the same point. We are producing meanings, and meaning is controlling us. If a human being believes in that he or she will be better, this will have an effect in his or her relation with her or his doctor, and this is seen in other effects too. Placebo effect is a part of medicine now. We are trying to distinguish it in our studies. In the same way, there's a psychology thinker called Jeremy Frank. He says that any kind of amelioration, including medicine, any kind of recovery is a result of persuasion. And the main reason in recovery, according to him, is persuasion. He has a work called, a very big work, Persuasion and Healing. People are healed because of persuasion. For example, the same medicine is prescribed by a neurologist, but one is not healed. But when a psychiatrist prescribes the same medicine, then patient is better because he or she is healed. Knowing does not mean to understand. Understanding is a special characteristics of humans, but in modern psychology, we unfortunately ignore this. And especially after cognitive approach, we begin to see human mind as a tabula rasa, an empty page, just as a building built from scratch. And we claim that humans will be succeeding in building themselves. I think I moved too fast here. No, all these hypotheses, all these perspectives are wrong. Human is born into a culture, a network of meaning. And beginning from being conscious, humans begin to give meaning. They do not build themselves from scratch. Culture is thought to be a simple thing added to humans. So when we forget this, we just send will to theology. And in this way, of course, responsibilities are also transferred to theology. We think that we are working with a being who built his or her meaning world from scratch. But actually, beginning from our birth, we are swimming in an ocean of meaning. Just as language will lends sense to what we are learning, we are lending meaning to things. Meaning is just the oxygen dissolved in water. We are living thanks to this. If we thought that everything was meaningless, if we didn't think that everything we do is meaningful, no one would have taken even a single step. So sometimes when there are talking, when life and the works we are doing become seeming meaningless to us, it's highly likely that there is a problem in the operation which I described with the metaphor of oxygen. In the psychology part, I will try to come back to this. One of the most impressive definition of health for me is the following. Health is not to feel one's body, and disease is feeling our body. I think we should work from this. When there is a problem in our body, a symptom comes out, and we have recourse to a physician or a healer. If the body is functioning healthily, we will not be aware of it. All of us has a functioning has a functioning heart, but we are not aware of it. Thanks to God that we are not aware of it. Otherwise, if we begin to hear flutter at our heart, we will think to go doctors. The production of meaning is a similar process. We always lend meaning to things, and thanks to this, we can sustain our life. If there is a traffic jam there, it means that we are in trouble. symptom in bodily health corresponds to meaninglessness in mental health. While meaning is so important, what are we make sense of senselessness or pointlessness sometimes? Sometimes we feel meaningless. In order to produce new meanings, some old meanings should be excluded. It bases on the capacity, needs, and world of meaning of humans. Thanks to this, many new ideas are based on finding old way of thinking meaningless. Does life have a meaning? Dr. Göka, what do you mean with life? Whose life? Bezos' life? Your life? Life in general? We are mortal beings. We have to distinguish human's life is limited to death, but there is also a life in general. In Turkish, we call both of them life. In my writings, I make a difference between life in general, bios and zoe. In Turkish, we have two words which are accepted, synonym, hayat and yaşam in Turkish. If lending meaning is an ontologic feature or characteristics of humans, then I have to answer why I am here, why I came here. We give an answer to this question, otherwise we would not have taken steps, taken a single step. In the same way, we have an answer to functioning of the worldly life. Meaning is unseeable, I told. It's like the oxygen in water. I called it invisible. But if you want to see it, you have to find out for what are you living, for what are you sacrificing your life. Look at there. You will find that there is meaning there. In this way, the question, is there a meaning in the life, cannot be answered with a single answer. It's just like what is the best move in chess. It depends on the game. It depends on the relation between me and life. When we think on human beings, except the difference between having knowledge and understanding, we should say each human being is unique and each human being has unique tasks and mission if he or she wants, he or she want to anything. But even if they are twins, each human being will have a different task. Being like this, while speaking on meaning of life, while answering this indispensable question related to humans, we have to look at our relation with life. What am I to do now? What does life ask for? And what can I do to what amount? But as I said, it is just within the flow of daily life. Just as we don't ask about our heart, we don't ask this question, but potentially this question exists, sustains to exist, continues to exist. Each human being is unique. Each human being has different tasks and mission. Is the very point where everyone has a right. We are coming from different classes. We have different income levels, different intelligence capacities, but every human being finds herself or himself right. Did you see anyone who has a primary school? Have you ever so that a primary school graduate is criticizing a guy from a higher school. They call them, they seem them poor. They are chasing money, for example. Everyone is right. We should always think this while working with humans. Everyone, if he or she is not in a psychopathology, will see his life as the best way and very right. Modern mentality cannot understand this, how everyone can see himself or herself right. But this is how he or she sees. Generally, young people comes with questions related to the meaning of life, or it can be an indicator of a psychopathology. You should always ask questions to them about how do they look at life, because it's highly likely that there's a problem with in her or his comprehending life. Is the best point to begin. What do you mean for life? Without damaging, we should ask this too. If someone says, I am happy from the situation, I ask, is the situation happy of you? Life has expectations from us too. And we should always think about this while discussing about meaning of life. Freud says that if someone keeps asking about meaning of life, it means that you are sick. Don't ask me, he says. This is something to be answered by science. He's right because he doesn't know it. He's an important intellectual, but he doesn't have a comprehensive understanding. That's why he leaves things to religion, but he doesn't leave it there. Okay, he says, I refer to your religion, but how do we know that the answer given by religion is right? And he goes on, someone in search for meaning of life is sick. It is something vain. Religions give a lot of answer. This is not in the domain of science, but it's simply happiness. Freud, our big master, who speaks so fluently, having a literature prize, even cannot speak fluently when he is asked about meaning of life. If we don't have a strong approach to humans, we cannot find answers only within the domain of science. That's why we have to look at other knowledge areas. We have to look what are being produced there, what kind of comprehensions are there in other places. And then we come to the discussion of what is religion, what is science. We have to discuss it in healthy ways by knowing that knowing and understanding is different. I think in a religion and science discussion, our classical knowledge is not sufficient. It can, if science is truth, then the rest is illusion, religion and other things. Yes, I can understand this approach, but illusion does not save us. Science does not produce meaning. How will we do this job? We have to accept. Today, beliefs are another area of knowledge. It should be accepted as a deep area in our search for meaning. Religion's functioning in the life should not be tackled as poor people who are living in an illusion. There's a Marxist thinker, Herbert Marcuse. He has a nice thinking, tackling with the similarity between science and religion. If you just chase science, you will see that your science understanding becomes a kind of religion. Marcus told this, and I find it very meaningful. When we look at humans' history, we see that all these knowledge areas are continuing despite one another. There are understandings of science who are trying to exclude all other beliefs. The belief always continues. And it's opposite holds true too. There are people who are trying to explain everything from religious perspective, but scientific and philosophical approach holds. Does religion provides humans with meaning? Yes, everything provides meaning. Religion taking into account other worlds and worlds which you cannot see, it has a wider field of meaning. Regardless of our approach to religion, we should be able to say this. Religion's network of meaning is more comprehensive and in depth, but someone will take only a bit or piece from religion, only enough for making meaning. Religion gives us much, but you are the one who will make a sculpture. Everyone has a different understanding in religion. Finally, we are producing humans. It's just not like tabula rasa. We are born into a meaning, but we are giving form to sculpture. We are painter of our acts and deeds. I am wrapping up. If I can wrap up before Kazım tells me to wrap up, I will feel very happy. It's possible to look at psychotherapy and psychological problems from meaning perspective, because people who are coming us are those who had problems in their life world of meaning, and we can look from this perspective. I find this perspective very warm. We all live, but if there is a confusion in meaning of world, when the old network of meanings does not allow us to enter in new engagements, we want to take help. It's sometimes a psychiatric problem, sometimes a relation problem, sometimes it can reveal itself as meaninglessness, but at the end of the day, we can say that people who are coming to our office are people who have a mass in their world of meaning. And task of psychotherapist is to guide his or her siblings as humans when they have a problem in their world of meaning, to do our best to guide them. Someone who comes to us, when we analyze his or her complaints, actually tries to say that I cannot continue with my old perspective and I need to take a help from the world of meaning of another wise, if necessary, to borrow his or her world of meaning. But of course, this is impossible. We cannot lend our meaning, world of meaning. What do? We do the following.
In psychotherapy, the worlds of meaning are different. One of them can be more damaged, seemingly, and the other might say, well, I might understand this world of damage. If these two courageous people meet, then this is not only literature. So one of them says, where is the problem in my life? Can you look at it? And the other, if the other knows how seeking meaning in life can be so sliding, and knowing that it is not one's task to tell what the meaning of life to another person as a good psychotherapist. So daring this, two courageous people. The only upper hand that the psychotherapist has is the experience, professionally speaking, in terms of translating the knowledge of life, keeping in parentheses one's own understanding of life and knowing that what one says is not absolutely the right thing for another. So one shall be able to shed light to the path of another. This is what a therapist is about. However, I am building nice sentences, but I guess I can tell you how difficult our task is. You are not going to say, we are not going to say, this is what is right. No. You have to respect one's world of meaning and try to see how to repair that world of meaning of another. This is what we are doing. And it is easy to say through literature, through poetry or prose. However, it requires education, experience of life, and wisdom. This is how I view therapy and try to write my books with this understanding, with this mentality. Thank you very much.